Okay, hi. I am talking to Premesh Chandran, who is the founder of Malaysiakini. Co-founder of Malaysiakini. Okay, so thank you for speaking with us today. By the way, so just wanted to talk to you on how you started Malaysiakini, and one of the most read website with 1 million Twitter followers and heaps of readers on a daily basis. So tell us the story, like from the backstory, from how it started.
Sure. What was interesting in 1999, there were three factors, right? One was that the mainstream media in Malaysia was really not doing a good job covering political news. Most of the media were aligned or in a way controlled by the government of the day. And what happened was in 1998, you had Anwar Ibrahim being arrested. It was very clear. A lot of people were stunned that the Deputy Prime Minister could be arrested, could be hit violently in jail and put behind bars. And really, they really saw the mainstream media not really doing a very good job. So it's very clearly an opportunity to do better political news. That was one. Secondly, at that time, Mahathir had already created what they call the multimedia super corridor, and part of that was a bill of guarantees. And part of the bill of guarantees was that the internet would not be censored. So unlike newspapers and television stations, we did not need a license to publish online. So I think those were the two key factors. And what we were betting on was that the internet would grow and become big. Of course, in 1999 was a time where you didn't have social media, you didn't have handphones. The online audience was still very small then, but we thought it would actually grow big. So that's why we decided to set up a news website which focused on current affairs and political news. But we made sure that, unlike other websites which were blogs and anonymous, we put our names behind it. So everybody knew myself, Stephen, and the other writers who were writing for Malaysiakini. And we believed that writing good content, good current affairs content would gain us a large audience. And it proved to be true. We grew very fast. The site did really well. The big challenge was actually the business model. We tried advertising in the beginning. Very quickly, advertisers came on board, but also got scared off. We were seen to be too political, too controversial. So advertisers wanted to play safe and wanted to put ads on safer sites. So we knew that we quickly found out that the advertising model won't work for us, given where we're coming from. So we pivoted after 3 years, and we launched subscription in 2002. So that was the pivotal moment. It was very hard to run a subscription in paid site, especially in times where people could not use credit cards to pay online. There was no proper online payment system. There was no online banking. These were the very, very early days of the internet. But it took us about 10 years to build it. But over time, we developed a very loyal audience who was willing to pay, and that's how we survived.
So it started just you and Steven. So how about the money? Like, where did you get the funds to start? And also to convince people to write for you guys on a full-time basis?
Yeah, so we managed to raise about $100,000. Actually, firstly, we raised about 30,000 ringgit from friends. And what we tried to do first was we bought over a cyber cafe. Because at that time, even to have a computer was too expensive. To have an internet line was very expensive. So we thought, look, a cyber cafe is a good infrastructure because it has computers and internet. And we bought over a cyber cafe in SS2, PJ. And we started to think about running Malaysiakini from then. But we didn't manage the business well. And I was running business, and that was my first big failure. After 3 months, I had to sell the cyber cafe because we were losing money. It taught me a lot of lessons in business, that if you want to run a business, you've got to be serious about it. And you've got to be hands-on, and you've got to know what you're doing. So very quickly, I understood, that it's a serious business. But we managed to raise about $100,000 from friends, from grants, including from the Southeast Asia Press Alliance, and we used that to start. In the beginning, it was very hard to get people from the mainstream media to come write for us. So although a lot of people said yes, and they were not happy at NST and not happy in the Star, too much of censorship, when we actually asked them to join Malaysiakini, they dared not. It's too difficult, too challenging. Obviously, we didn't pay as well. So we ended up hiring novices, new people who had just graduated. We had 3 journalists who joined us. And we built a team. We started off with about 6 people. We ended up the end of the first year with about 18 people, and then we grew. Now we're about 110, 120 people.
Okay, so alrighty, and then also the fact that you guys were very different out of the box, not conforming to the Malaysian standards, the government of writing safe pieces, because you had a lot of DOS attacks, police coming to your office, confiscating your, I think computers. There were no laptops then, and after that, a lot of disruption in the workflow. So how did you mitigate that? Because I don't think any business plan can actually prepare you for all this, this kind of, I can label it as nuisance from time to time, especially during the early days when everybody was not sure what you guys were doing, and it came out as very controversial. So how did you weather through that?
Actually, we planned for it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we knew obviously that if we doing our job, we would not be left untouched by the authorities. So we said that either we do a bad job and the authorities don't care about us, or we do a good job and we would have to live with the police and everybody else. So we were pretty much prepared for that. We have got good systems to deal with DOS attacks and DDoS attacks. Actually our site did not really go down very much. Although there were a lot of attacks, we were able to navigate those attacks really well. And the core strategy we believed in is that we have to mean something to our readers and supporters. And if we do, we believe that our readers and supporters would rally around us. So unlike a consumer site that, okay, I use this, you buy that. No, we're not that. We're part almost like a mission. And people share that mission, that cause. When you want to fight for the environment or fight for justice, you are part of that, and that's what we made our workers. They are part of us. And so that, for example, when people came and police came and took our computers, we had so many people giving us computers, their own computers. Here, take my computer, because they wanted us to survive. So what was really important in our business model is building allies and making sure our readers were also our supporters, not just our readers.
So did you have a lawyer on file?
No, we had many lawyers.
You had many lawyers, but they were doing pro bono work for you? Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, and then after that, the business side of things, when did you start making money? How did you get your name out there?
We started making money when we launched our first year itself through advertising, but then that dipped, as I mentioned, because we seemed to be too political. And then we launched our subscription website in 2002. But we first turned, it actually took about 3 years, by 2005 we were doing pretty okay. And then in 2008, the election in 2008 was very important, because if you remember, 5 states went to the opposition: Kedah, Penang, Perak, Selangor, and Negeri Sembilan. Right? For the first time, the opposition won big. At that time, Badawi was the prime minister. And he said that, look, why did they lose? Was because of the internet. Because they didn't realize the power of people who were reading the internet. And you can see the West Coast was much more internet-based than others. So after 2008, we actually became the most popular site in the country. We beat the Star, who used to be number 1 in 2008. And we had lots of subscribers. We had Chinese, we had Malay. We were the only media in the country we published in 4 languages. So we grew very, very fast. So I think our first profitable year was 2008.
2008.
9 years.
9 years. Holy Christ. So before that, it was just you used the money from your funders.
We did many things. We did the SMS, we published books, we did events. We did whatever it took to break even.
After 9 years, you broke even. Okay, so what is now you've already slowed down. You and Steven, the original founders, have slowed down. And now you're doing your own thing, but you're still co-founder of the thing. And you do the I presume you do the oversight of the site, right? So how is the site now? Is it as spicy as it was those days, or it's just chilled, mellowed, and how do you describe it now?
Well, we have retired from day-to-day duties. We both you and I are on the board of directors. So as directors, we review the overall strategy plans of the management, the business plan. But we let the management run and call the shots. So it's really up to the management, the editors of today, to decide, what is to be done. We don't want to be directors who are too involved. We want to actually be, one step removed.
But so how is the publication now? Is it still the same core, the way the
I don't think Malaysiakini has changed very much. I think we still, our job, we see our mission as publishing very fairly balanced on current affairs, on political news of the country. So I don't think our mission has changed. The media landscape has changed. When we launched, we were practically the only source of independent news. Today there are many, many websites doing news. So it's become, what they call from a blue ocean, it's become a red ocean. Whether it's Star, NST, everybody's publishing much better news than they did 20 years ago. So I think the industry has shifted a lot. Secondly, the people who aligned with us in the early days, in a way, they were clear demand. They wanted a change of government. They wanted democracy. They wanted, they don't want an ISA. They wanted more freedom. And in many ways, those things have been won. ISA has been done away with. We have much more free and fair elections. They wanted a demand to have the ink on the pen. That was done. So many of the reforms that were voiced by Malaysiakini and fought for by our readers have come to pass. So today we can be happy or not happy. We don't like some policies or whatever it is, but in a way there has been, the first change has happened in Malaysia. So I can say both the industry has changed as well as the political environment has changed. So Malaysiakini, although the mission remains the same, the context of Malaysiakini has changed dramatically.
But now I see you have do you do climate reporting and business reporting? It wasn't the case those days. I think that
we did.
We've
done climate reporting, we've done business reporting since day one.
Since day one, okay. So, but what is there going to be a splinter brand, or are you going to stick as it is and just keep growing the readership? What's the plan?
It's up to the management. It's not our call.
It's not your call, okay. Okay.
I'm retired.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
I can relax.
Wanted to ask you, for somebody who wants to start, there's a lot of people starting news site in Malaysia because it's quite, the barrier of entry is quite easy, but sustaining it is another question. So what is your advice for those who are starting up and basically anything that you can dish?
Well, like you said, the barriers of entry are very low, right? So anybody can start a website. So what makes you different from everybody else who's starting a website? So that's first of all, what makes you different. Secondly of all, just like how newspapers died and people migrated to websites or online news. Today a lot of websites are dying and people are migrating to social media, right? Younger people like my kids, they don't even read Malaysiakini. They go to Instagram, they go to TikTok, they go to whatever, Twitter.
But I have to stop you there. There's no verification. When people who are influencers who push news, they're not like journalists trained to find out and see, whether it's fake or real.
When we started a website, newspapers said the same thing, right? Oh, we are newspapers, we are licensed, we are regulated. Who are these websites? They have no licenses. Oh, you can't believe that, right? But how many people read newspapers today?
Yeah, that's true.
So same thing, right? You can complain about social media and say, oh, it's influencer, it's not verified. But, do younger people care? Right? They like their influencers, they like people who they believe in, right? This is like you may like a brand like NST or Guardian or Sydney Morning Herald or whatever you read, right? The younger people don't care about it. They like the influencers. For them, the influencers are the brand.
Okay, so they do actually take anything they say in gospel without checking.
I don't think they do that. I think they definitely look at other websites and content, but they have a different way of consuming the news, right? So our idea of a story, of writing, of checking is not something which transcends generations all the time. So they have, for example, many of them may listen to podcasts. So, they have different news habits. So, again, news habits have changed. For example, many years ago, people would watch 8 p.m. news. Every 8 o'clock, watch the news, right? People don't do that anymore. Right? They want to watch video anytime. They used to be morning, buy the newspaper, sit down, coffee, read the newspaper. They don't do that anymore. So news habits have changed. There's no right and wrong. The question is that if you're a media organization, you need to understand where, who's your audience and how do I address that audience in terms of their media habits. Obviously, if you're, for example, writing to an older generation, then you write in a way that works for the older generation, right? The other way works for them. So what I'm trying to say is that just how newspapers have gone out of fashion, today news websites are going out of fashion, even Malaysiakini. So you have to think ahead. Don't get caught with the history. Think forward.
So what are you doing in Malaysiakini? the management is supposed to decide. Right?
Yeah, ask the management.
Okay.
I've retired. I'm repeating.
Okay. I just want to ask you, most of the publications in Malaysia, right, they have a stance, either left or right wing. So NST we know is a government thing, and what are you guys?
I don't think it's a left or right or a government thing. I think, for example, NST, the owners of NST were closely aligned with the government. And the owners for Star were MCA, and MCA was aligned with Barisan Nasional, right? So it's a question of ownership and who are the owners aligned with. Myself and Stephen, who are the majority owners of Malaysiakini, are not part of any political party, right? We're not part of a party. Our idea is, we come from a democratic activist background. So we believe in democracy, we believe in human rights, we believe in justice. So that's our stance. How do we ensure that there's a justice for people, right? How do we ensure there's equality? How do we ensure there's fairness, there's freedom, elections are valid? That's where we come from. So that's our mission. It's not about supporting one party or another, about being left or right? It's about values that we believe in.
Okay. So basically, one advice for people wanting to start, because when you started, you told me you had a business plan. You and Steven had a really solid business plan. You the money guy, he's the content guy, and that's how you guys work, right? And then anything else that you've missed out. So it's always good to start in a partnership, not alone.
It's best to start with 2 or 3 people. It's hard to start alone. It's lonely, and one person. You tend to be good at certain things. You tend to be bad at other things, right? So some people are very good writers or very good video producers, right? They may not be good business people, right? So it's good to business people are not very good writers, so it's important to have a team, 2 or 3 people that can cover the key areas of what you want to do. Right? I think that's a very important lesson, right? One person can't do everything. That's very important. Secondly, is that if it's what they call a red ocean, there's so many players out there. You need to do something which is different. Obviously, you're doing something which nobody else is doing. You're building something which nobody else can do. Then that's fine. You can occupy that position. But really, content today is a red ocean. There's billions and billions of content being posted every single minute. Right? Everybody's posting content, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram. Everybody's a content producer. Right? So what makes us different?
So they have to think. Anyone who wants to start a website, they have to think a niche. Is that what you're saying?
First of all, you don't even have to start a website. Right? There's so many platforms that you can start on. Secondly, what's your niche? Who's your audience? What problem are you solving? So for example, when we asked Malaysiakini, when things were going badly after 2-3 years, we asked okay, if Malaysiakini dies tomorrow, who will be sad? Who will miss us? Who will say, oh, I really miss Malaysiakini, right? And we thought it'll be our readers, our supporters, right? So we said, okay, if we have so many supporters out there who are really going to miss Malaysiakini, can we ask them to pay? Will they pay for us, right? And we said, well, if they're not willing to pay for us, then why do we exist? Right? If they don't really want us so much that they're willing to pay for us, then maybe we are not relevant to them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So then we said, okay, let's go. Let's see whether we're doing such a good job that people really want us and willing to pay. Right? And you'd be amazed the number of people who paid. And people were, they were walking into our office with cash, with checks, because there was no online payment, right? People were willing to come down to Bangsa, come up to our office and pay cash. Right? And when we switched from we had a 1-year subscription, and then there were so many people wanting a longer subscription. So it's okay, let's do 3 years. So we said, who would pay 3 years for content, right? You'll be amazed the number of people who said were happy to come to office and pay us for 3 years of content ahead of time. So that's why. So he said, our greatest thing is our supporters, right? So that's our asset. So my lesson is that if you want to do something in a crowded field, make sure you have a good niche.
Okay. Make sure you have a good niche.
And make sure you're you're really damn good at it. So for example, you're a Malaysian in Australia, right? And there are 200,000-300,000 Malaysians in Australia, right? If you set up a site just for Malaysians in Australia, and 100,000 of them read you like nobody's business, right? Just love your site because they are Malaysians living in Australia, right? You will succeed. But they have to love you. They have to really like you and love you and they want to champion you and say you are the best thing that happened to Malaysians in Australia, you will survive. But if you like, don't care lah, whatever lah, you won't survive.
Okay.
So you got to build fans and supporters, and then that will make you survive.
Okay.